And in the oppressive darkness of the Egyptian desert, July 1942, a convoy of 18 jeeps crept silently across the rugged North African terrain. Each engine purred low, headlights blacked out, as the vehicles navigated through the sea of sand, 230 miles northwest of Cairo. At the head of this daring expedition was Major David Stirling, founder of an elite British unit soon to earn its legendary name, the Special Air Service. Tension hung heavy in the air as Stirling scanned the landscape. They were nearing their objective, a major German airstrip behind enemy lines. But something wasn't right. Where the hell is it? Stirling muttered under his breath. Then, as if summoned by fate, the desert night lit up. It wasn't enemy flares or searchlights. No, it was runway lighting. And then came the deafening growl of an aircraft's engines that a German Ju-52 transport was coming in for landing. T.O. Stirling's left sat Captain Paddy Mayne, a beast of a soldier with an appetite for mayhem. "She's a beauty, sir," Mayne smirked, eyeing the aircraft through the darkness. Lieutenant Carol Mathers sat nearby, calm but alert. To Stirling's right was a squad from the Free French SAS, with their leader aspirant André Zernheld, eyes locked forward, waiting for the order. Stirling took one breath and gave the signal. "Let's get to work." The men manned their guns, twin-mounted. Vickers K machine guns fitted to each jeep, front and rear. Once all teams gave the thumbs up, Stirling shouted the iconic words, "Who dares wins?" The engines roared, and the convoy surged forward as they approached within 800 meters of the target. The jeeps fanned into a straight line, with Stirling in the center, flanked by Zernheld's Frenchmen and the other British commandos. Then came the eruption that a single burst of gunfire cracked the silence. Then a tidal wave of chaos followed. 68 Vickers guns opened fire in unison, unleashing over 34,000 rounds per minute. The night turned to hell. From the German defenders' point of view, the scene was apocalyptic. Tracer rounds cut through the darkness, red and white streaks, zipping in every direction, shredding anything they touched. Bullets tore through the metal wings and fuselages of parked aircraft. Flames erupted as incendiary rounds ignited fuel tanks. The Ju-52 approaching the runway saw the carnage, but it was too late. They had to land as soon as the plane touched down. The Germans killed the runway lights, plunging the area back into darkness. But the raid had just begun. Stirling raised a flare gun and fired. A green flare arced through the sky, bathing the airfield in eerie light. "Forward!" he shouted. The jeeps surged onto the tarmac in perfect formation, 2 columns, for meters apart, like a sharp, lethal arrowhead. With calm precision, they rolled across the airfield at walking speed. The jeeps strafed everything: Stuka-dive bombers, Bf-109s, Ju-88s, Bf-110s, all burst into flames. The very heart of the Luftwaffe was being torn to shreds in the middle of the desert. German soldiers scrambled from their barracks and tents, but panic had already taken hold. Some ducked under parked aircraft. Others tried to man their guns. But nothing could stop the fury of the SAS. The recently landed Ju-52 sat exposed. Its crew frantically shut off cockpit lights and cut the engines, hoping to hide among the wreckage. But the jeeps rolled by, slow and deliberate. There was no escape as the convoy reached the end of the runway. They turned onto the taxiway, where more aircraft sat vulnerable. Stirling gave a signal for a quick status check. All jeeps were accounted for. With a nod, they pressed forward, continuing their brutal assault. That brief pause had given the Germans just enough time that a few troops had managed to set up defensive positions. A 20mm Breda gun and a couple of mortar tubes were hastily prepared. "If we don't stop them now, it's over," a German soldier cried out. Mortars launched into the air. Stirling heard a shriek. Then the ground erupted just ahead. The blast nearly wiped out Zernheld's section. The Germans opened up with wild fire, mortars and Breda rounds streaking across the night. .1 round struck Trooper John Robson, the young gunner beside Stirling. His body slumped over his weapon, lifeless. More mortars rained down. "We need to take that gun out," Stirling shouted. "Cooper, light him up." Sergeant Johnny Cooper pivoted the Vickers and fired directly at the Breda gun. At the same time, a shell ripped through Stirling's jeep, missing his legs by inches. The engine died. "We've lost the engine." The driver cried that a nearby jeep screeched to a halt. It was Robson's. His lifeless body still lay in the back, blood running down the metal frame. Without missing a beat, Stirling climbed into the new jeep. "Let's move." The column continued, hammering the German position. Eventually, the Breda crew and mortar operators fell one by one. The remaining defenders fled at the end of the taxiway. Stirling halted the unit and signaled the engines off. Silence blanketed the airfield, save for the crackling of fires consuming destroyed aircraft. "Everyone accounted for?" Stirling called. "We. All good. Ammo?" Stirling asked, half drum. "One full. 2. They weren't finished yet." "All right. One last sweep. Let's finish this." The engines flared again, and the jeeps rolled out. Among the wreckage, they spotted a Bf-109 still intact. The gunners made quick work of it, transforming it into flaming debris. Stirling raised his flare gun once more. This time firing RED.IT was the signal to retreat. But Paddy Main wasn't done. He leapt from his jeep. "Paddy!" Stirling yelled. With a grin, Main ran to an untouched Ju-52, placed an explosive on its wing, then sprinted back. The transport exploded behind him in a ball of fire as the convoy sped away into the night, knowing the Germans would launch air patrols at sunrise. The SAS split into 4 groups, each headed in a different direction. Lieutenant Mather's group drove through the night. As dawn broke, they tucked their jeeps under dense brush and lit fires for breakfast. Over sizzling sausages and boiling tea, a sinister sound cut through the desert calm. Aircraft. A German dive bomber soared overhead. The men froze. It passed by. No reaction. Maybe they were safe. Then came more. "It's like a swarm of angry bees," Mather whispered. "Take cover." The men dove into the bushes as the plane circled. The Stukas hadn't spotted them yet, but the French weren't. So lucky. Zernheld's unit, caught on open ground, huddled beneath a small ridge. It wasn't enough. The roar of Stuka engines grew louder. 4 of them closed in. "They've seen us," someone yelled. "Hold your ground." Zernheld ordered. Bullets rained down like a hailstorm. Sand exploded in all directions. "Back with." Stirling's group, they paused to bury young Robson. Using desert cans, they crafted a cross and held a quiet funeral. Their solemn moment was interrupted. An engine that a Stuka appeared overhead. The team froze. It banked away. No shots. Luck was on their side. Back with the French, the raid was winding down. The Stukas made pass after pass, each time with less fire. Eventually, they peeled off, empty of ammo. When the dust settled, bodies lay strewn in the sand. 2 of their 3 jeeps were destroyed. Francois Martin, Zernheld's second in command, stumbled up. Zernheld had been hit badly. A bullet had torn through his stomach, another through his shoulder. They lifted him into the surviving vehicle and drove as fast as they could. Mather's group reached the rendezvous point without further incident. So did Main's team, but Stirling's journey wasn't over. Their jeep lost a tire. Supplies were dwindling. They had no idea where they were. The navigator insisted they were heading the right way. But the desert all looked the same, endless dunes and rock. Then, after hours under the punishing sun, they reached a cliff. The navigator ran ahead, at the bottom. British vehicles. They had made it. Stirling's group reunited with the others on July 29th, 2 days after the raid. But not all came back. In the final stretch of the journey, as the French raced toward the rendezvous point, Zernheld grew weaker, his skin pale, his breath shallow. Martin held his friend's hand as Zernheld whispered, "I'm going now, but I'm at peace." And then he was gone.